Hello and welcome to Speedcubing 101. I am Cube Mom and it is a beautiful sunny day here in Vancouver. Tomorrow is going to be a beautiful rainy day here in Vancouver. I hope where you are as you listen to this and whatever you're doing, you are keeping well. Today I'm happy to bring to you episode 9 of Speedcubing 101, where we focus on, besides cubes, what does my cuber need, especially if my cuber is going to start competing. And today I've enlisted a bit of help, so let's hear from my help.
Hi, I'm Jason White. I'm a delegate from Oregon, and I've been competing in cubing competitions since 2016. Something I would recommend to new cubers would be get one of either a SpeedStacks timer or some other timer, just so you can practice timing yourself at home and you're used to how it works in a competition.
Yes, a timer will help greatly. We started with and still use CS Timer. This is a free website that you can use for scrambles, for solves. It will even do the judging side of it and say 8 seconds, 12 seconds. More on that in the judging episode, which will be in the future. The website is cstimer.net. Again, it is free. I will link to it in the show notes. But again, it's cstimer.net. And I just learned this week from Gonzalo, who is the guest on the next episode, that it doesn't just do scrambles and stuff for 3x3, it's for every event. The delegate Ben also shared with me this week that this is what they use when they need scrambles for their unofficial events. CS Timer works great on mobile, tablet, and desktop. However, if you want to practice with a timer similar to the timer system that they use in competition, you could purchase a SpeedStack timer, or there are ones similar to the SpeedStack timer, but SpeedStack is the brand that they use in competition, at least the ones that I've seen. If your cuber wants to compete, it is nice to have one because they can get used to the placement of their hands before and after their solve when they're practicing at home. I will also link to the SpeedStack in the show notes. So now you know it's useful to have a timer. I'm sending in more help for this next item.
Hello, my name is Tripp Peters. I'm a WCA junior delegate for the state of Washington, and I've been competitively speedcubing for about 7 years now. And something I'd recommend for cubers beginning is like a nice cube bag to keep your cubes in, keeps them protected, keeps them safe from dust. So yeah, overall just keeps them nice.
Yes, so generally the cubes used in competition, aka the nicer cubes, come with a cube cover and a cube pouch. However, as your collection grows because your cuber wants to upgrade cubes or have warm-up cubes or start learning how to solve a 2x2 or a Pyraminx, investing in a good bag will help protect them, help keep them together, making it easier to not lose any. You don't have to get a specific cubing bag. It could be a box. It could be any kind of bag or backpack that's padded. When my cuber started collecting cubes, so June of 2023, I really didn't know if this was going to become a thing for him, but he wanted to protect his cubes and keep them in a bag. So I actually gave him my Canon camera bag. It actually worked great because it had the Velcro for the different compartments, so then he could adjust the bag to be whatever configuration he wanted. And it was working, but it was a big square bag and kind of awkward for at the time he was 7 years old, to carry. I remember we had a competition where it was at Western Washington University. It was a bit of a walk uphill to the parking lot after the competition. He was tired trying to lug this bag. And I thought, okay, I think we are getting to the point where, yes, he is serious about cubing and it's time to invest in a backpack. So it was just this past summer, July 2024, that he got his own cubing backpack. So much easier because he could put it on his back. And it's nice too because whenever we had that camera bag in the car, I'd always be saying, can we throw a jacket on it? I don't want anybody to think it's an actual digital camera, and smash our windows to grab it. Not that your cubes aren't special and precious and valuable. but you know what I mean.
Now let's talk some Speedcubing 201.
Hello, I'm Benjamin Gottschalk. I've been competing since 2016 and became a delegate recently in 2022. Some advice that I have for new cubers is to check out the website, kind of make sure that you have everything. Just look at the information that's on there. It gives you a good rundown on how to compete and just makes you prepared for a competition. Sometimes there's a video, which is very helpful, but yeah, just check out the website and kind of the information tab, and that should have all you need.
And that website is worldcubeassociation.org. That's worldcubeassociation.org. When you know your cuber is interested in competing, it's a great site to get familiar with because, well, you'll be going there a lot. You'll be using it a lot. And I will have an episode just dedicated to using the website, worldcubeassociation.org. Let's listen to the next tip.
All right. My name is Alex Seidler. I've been competing since 2007, the Rubik's Cube, having taken a few breaks since then, but still at it. I love this sport and always looking forward to these events. I would say if anybody is interested in cubing, the one thing I would recommend is to find friends or get friends interested in it with you. The biggest thing for me that has kept me going in this is the social aspect. I love coming to these events and seeing all the familiar faces and making new friends. So yeah, it's definitely the number one thing, at least in my opinion, with cubing is the network.
Yes, everything's always more fun when you have a friend with you. Maybe that means inviting a friend to your first competition, even if that friend isn't going to compete, or if your cuber has cubing friends and you haven't competed, maybe sign up for a comp altogether. This really is competing, but also making memories. Now, if your cuber is serious about getting faster with cubing, I remember when we were asking a couple of the fast cubers what else we need. They said, you got to have a good cube, but you also have to have lube for that good cube. So there is lube to make the cube go faster. There's lube for making the cube go slower. That's for when it's out of control and you have lost control of it.
Let's get ready for your cube news.
Okay, so I have a fair amount of cube news for you. I don't think I mentioned it when I recorded episode 8, but I was actually in Portland, Oregon for the Oregon, I know some people say Oregon, right? But Oregon Championships. Congratulations to all the competitors and thank you to all the organizers, the volunteers, and again, delegates or volunteers giving their time to make these events happen because it's a state championships. All the events were held. So I am actually going to name the top finisher in each event. And I just realized these may not be the Oregon champs. I'm still learning myself how to use the WCA website. So my apologies if you are the Oregon State champ and I'm not sharing your name. And again, if I mispronounce your name in this episode or any episode of Speedcubing 101, my sincerest apologies. Do come up if you see me at a competition and let me know how to pronounce your name correctly. So congratulations to everyone I'm going to list here. For 3x3 multi-blind, top finisher is Azael Toisahua, 5x5 and 4x5 blindfolded, Jason White, who you heard earlier, Square One, Aiden Bartlett, Scube and Pyraminx, Ash Black, Mega Minx, Daniel Yang, Clock, Grayson James, and yes, I will talk about this when I'm done this part. 3x3 one-handed, 5x5, and 4x4, William Greninger. 3x3 fewest moves. You heard him earlier, Benjamin Gottschalk. 3x3 blindfolded, Elvin Liu. 7x7 and 6x6, Kevin Hayes. 2x2, Ezra Severson. And for 3x3, William Greninger. Now, at the Oregon Championships, I was getting some questions, especially from younger cubers. Things like, can you put it on YouTube? Because I don't listen to podcasts and I don't have Spotify, but I have YouTube. Can you put it on YouTube? So yes, I'm going to be looking into, even though it's going to be audio, not video, putting the episodes of Speedcubing 101 on YouTube. On day 2 of the comp, I was a runner on the blue stage, and I could hear some excitement on the red stage. And one of the competitors, Anishk, comes up to me and says, "Are you going to put that on your podcast? You have to." I'm like, I don't exactly know what happened. I was a runner over here. So I think what Anishk said was Grayson was ranked number 88th in the world for clock, but after his performance at the Oregon Championships, his average of 3.30 bumped him up to number 12 in the world for clock average. Congratulations, Grayson. That's great momentum going into Worlds. And hold tight, because I do have senior delegate Matthew Dickman, who's also one of the organizers of Worlds, coming up after a couple more pieces in this Cube News segment. One is, I mentioned last week that there is an ultimate 3x3 guide that's come out. One member of the team behind this ultimate 3x3 guide is Kyle Santucci. And Kyle just broke the Canadian national record for 3x3 average. According to Speedcubing Canada, the national 3x3 average record hasn't been broken in over a year. So congratulations, Kyle. He now holds the Canadian national record for 3x3 with a time of, or I should say, with the average time of 5.60 seconds. If now you're really curious about this ultimate 3x3 guide, I will link it in the show notes of this episode, but it's also in the last episode, episode 8 as well. I'm also going to link their recommended hardware recommendations. And speaking of hardware, the Tornado V4 is available now for pre-order, as well as the Diane FTO. I mentioned in the last episode of Speedcubing 101 about Worlds, and that I would look into more information about the phases and the registration and information that can help you to prepare and to plan. I'm very thankful that Matthew Dickman made time during the Oregon Championships to help me understand how the qualification for Worlds works, because I had it wrong, as well as to update us with information about Worlds and where they're at. You will hear more from Matthew Dickman in a future episode where he'll share his journey. And when I say his journey of over 200 competitions, over 2,000 cubes, his YouTube channel, all the things. But right now, this is specifically focused on where he and the team behind the Worlds is at. And now for our Cube News segment today, we have Matthew Dickman here. He is the senior delegate of the WCA and one of the organizers of the World Championships, July 3rd to 6th, 2025 in Seattle.
My name is Matthew Dickman. I am the senior delegate for the WCA for USA and Canada, and I'm one of the organizers for World Championships 2025 in Seattle next year. I'm very happy to be here.
Some of his parents were not sure. There's that one website right now or the one webpage on Cubing USA that talks about the phases. Can you explain that a bit more?
So I believe each phase will last a few weeks. I think it's 2 or 3 weeks.
And when you say phase, it's a registration window?
Yes, a registration window. So the very first phase, only if you have qualifying times below those very strict cutoffs can you register. At first, basically, the best of the best can register first for World Champs.
So maybe, for example, if I didn't meet the first phase for 3x3, but I do for Mega Minx, let's say, so I would be able to register in that first window, but what can I register for? Just Mega Minx or anything?
So in that first phase, you can register for whatever you qualify for. And then a few weeks later, when the next phase opens and they're a little bit more lenient on the times, let's say in phase 2, you now qualify for 3x3, whereas you didn't in phase 1. You would have to go in and manually select, okay, now I qualify for 3. I'm going to select 3x3, 5x5, 2x2. And so these are all manual things you have to do within each phase. But getting that first registration, just getting your name on that list is the big thing. People just want to qualify for something.
Okay.
In phase 1 or even phase 2. I personally don't qualify for anything until phase 3, so I'm really hoping it doesn't fill until that point. I know some people who are worried, some people who aren't worried, but But, it's World Championships. Any other sport, they have the best of the best in these World Championships.
Yes.
So it makes sense
Yes.
that there would be these tough qualification times.
So, how do I say this? As a parent, do I not get my kid's hopes up if he qualifies for phase 4, but registration could be full by phase 3 and you wouldn't even,
Correct. I would not even be able to compete if it was filled before 3.
and you have no way of predicting that at this time, really?
Not really. It's people from all over the world. I don't know who's going to be willing to travel out to Seattle. If some people might register just because they can, and then as they figure out their travel plans, maybe they might back out. So there might be a lot of people who are like, "Hey, I can't make it," and then maybe we take more people in. But there's really no way of knowing until it opens.
Okay, and when does it open?
We don't have a date yet. Our website's not even done on the WCA
Okay.
side of things at this point in time. So, but probably in the next month or two, I'd say.
Oh, so it's actually relatively close.
Yeah.
It's before the end of the year.
I would think so.
Okay, so that's the competing side of it. Hotels. What should we be thinking of looking at
For
this point?
hotels, I don't have too much information on that. I
Okay.
haven't been staying too up to date on that. There's someone else on the team who deals with that
Okay.
stuff.
So I will have to talk to that person and
Yes.
get that and get at least communicate that. But there will be obviously a block of hotels or a block of rooms in some hotels close to the convention
There should
center.
be, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to know or do?
That's the big thing, is understanding what the phases are and how you might not be able to make it in if you're in phase 4. But even if you're close by, Worlds hasn't been in the U.S. since 2013.
Since your first competition.
Exactly. and it could very well take another 10 or 12 years. So even if you can just attend, it's a big social gathering. You can still come for that aspect of the competition
Yes.
and have just as much fun.
And so if cubers want to meet Max Park, Soup Timmy, whoever they want to meet, is that possible? Is there a structured, we've been to VidCon where you have all these ticketed things.
Yeah. Right now we're talking about doing something like an autograph booth, or like a photo booth with different cubers. We're not sure who, exactly who is going to be in it, but it'll be a lot of the big names that people want to have pictures with and who are probably flocked by a bunch of cubers.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Something structured would probably be
Yes,
good, and
exactly.
maybe even a security
Yeah.
detail at some level. And then vending, is there going to be vendors available, sponsorships?
Yeah, there's usually a vendor at these bigger competitions. In the past, it's been the Cubicle. At this point, we don't know who the sponsor is going to be, but it'll probably be one of the U.S.-based stores, is what we think, but we don't know who. We haven't received bids at this point for anybody. We're very much in the early stages of planning at this point.
But what about outside of cubing?
So outside of cubing, yeah, with it being a convention center, they'll probably want just their food allowed in the venue. That usually is what convention centers like. But as for other vendors outside of cubing, we've thrown around some ideas. There's Microsoft and Starbucks. They're all out there in Seattle. Yeah, so there's some names out there, some big companies where we've thought about it. And I'm not sure what we're going to do with them or if they'd even be interested. But it's not totally out of the question to see a non-cubing sponsor.
Okay. It would probably be a nice ROI or at least brand awareness for whatever company wants to come in and sponsor or be a vendor.
Yes. I know at North American Champs, there was Lids, the hat company.
Oh, yes.
But they did have cubing hats.
They did or they didn't?
They did.
Oh, yeah.
So it was cubing related, but also, something you
Yeah.
don't see every day.
Okay. Keep me up to date so I can tell at least everyone who listens to this podcast.
Will do.
All right. Thank you, Matthew. Let's get back to business.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Matthew, for joining me on the podcast today, as well as to the delegates who shared their tips. If you have any questions for me or even about Worlds, I can try to find out for us all. You can email me, cubemomofficial@gmail.com. That's cubemomofficial@gmail.com. If you want to be the first to know about new episodes of Speedcubing 101, please subscribe to Speedcubing 101, or you can follow me on my Instagram because I post episode updates there. My Instagram handle is cubemomofficial. Thank you for making time to listen today. I have so much content recorded for you that I need to edit and put together. So please stay tuned if you're enjoying what you hear. Happy cubing and go cubers go.